It's time for a sketchbook tour. Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be doing a sketchbook tour. So we have a white background. I'm doing this sketchbook tour on my dining table, not in my art studio. And by art studio, I mean my bedroom. Basically, it's so warm up there in my room. It's so hot. It's still quite warm actually where I am now. But yeah, it's high temperatures where I am at the moment. And I wish I could be one of those people who are really soaking it in and enjoying it. Unfortunately, I'm not. I wish I was, but I struggle when it's a bit warm. Anyway, so sketchbook tour. So a bit of an intro. You can skip this if you just want to get on into the actual tour, but just a little information. So this is a My Stationery MS My Stationery sketchbook. I have used their watercolour journals in the past. I did one for my loose watercolour practice. I did another one for gouache. They're on my channel. You can watch those tours as well. And I love this paper. So when I got those watercolour journals, they only had a couple of sizes from what I knew of. They were gifted to me. They were bought for me. And they didn't have a sketchbook this size. They were either, sorry, this is my new sketchbook. They were either this size or they were landscape. And I've used a couple of landscape sketchbooks in the past. They're not my favourite way to work. So I was super excited when they started doing a watercolour journal. And that is on my channel. It's my pink watercolour journal. I did a sketchbook tour of it a couple of months ago, I believe, and that's a watercolour journal. But here's the interesting part while I'm talking away. This is 160 GSM paper, and the watercolour journal was 160 GSM paper as well. Now normally you think that's not going to be great for watercolour, but actually surprisingly it was a really good watercolour journal. So when I saw this, I was in the market for a sketchbook that was just going to be mixed media. I wasn't looking for a sketchbook to be for watercolour. I was looking for an all-rounder. So when I saw this, it's just described as sketchbook, whereas the other one's actually described as a watercolour journal. I was confused because it had the same GSM of paper. And then on the back, it even says, if you can see it, can you see it? It says, usage suitable for a wide range of mixed media, including graphite, charcoal, ink, watercolour. And then in brackets it says like washes. Now here's the interesting part. There are some paintings in here that I have done that I would definitely class more than a light wash. There are paintings in here where I did multiple layers. I did wet and wet. So yeah, so there's just a little bit of that for you. And next thing, I will get on with the tour. I'm so sorry. This sketchbook, I know I'm going to get confused. I know I'm going to get confused somewhere along the way, because I did this sketchbook, I believe, at the start of autumn, and then I had another book where I did my winter watercolour videos, and then some of them are in here, some of them are in the other book, which I don't know where it is, and then I stopped drawing in this for a while, then I came back to it. But the problem is I have a nasty habit of skipping pages. So I'll draw on a page, I'll flip over, leave those pages, carry on drawing in my sketchbook, and then I have to come back a couple of months later with blank pages, so nothing lines up, and then I forget to put the dates in, so I'm going to get confused. Right, I'm so sorry, that was a very long intro. Let's actually get on with it before we all get bored. Alright, let's actually get on with the tour itself. So obviously it has one of those, sorry, leftover rubber. So it has one of those pages where who it belongs to, and obviously your contact details in case you lose it. I don't really take my sketchbox. No, I don't normally take my sketchbook that far enough to worry about losing it. Maybe my garden. I think the furthest I've probably taken it is my nan and granddad's house, so I don't fill this up. And if I did, obviously for the video, it'd be covered up anyway. Are we in focus? Yes, we are. Ooh. Sorry, just checking, adjusting. Okay. blank page. So because I don't know, because of the way the protection page and the intro page kind of folds, I find it very difficult to get it nice and flat, and that bothers me, so I left it blank. But now that the sketchbook has been worked in and, you know, given a personality, I guess I could have drawn something on it. It doesn't bother me now, but maybe it was also maybe a bit of first page anxiety as well. Maybe that was a bit of an excuse, but yeah. Here's where the sketchbook actually starts. So, like I mentioned in the intro, if you watched it, I was a bit skeptical kind of about how it's only 160 watercolour paper. Normally, I kind of assumed there'll be 200. But then again, the last sketchbook, one of the sketchbooks I used quite recently, which was a spiral bound, was 165, and that did well with watercolour. So I don't know why I was so surprised. But so this is an ink, my fountain pen and watercolour, and it was a very timid painting, I'll say. It was a timid illustration. Because of the watercolour paper, I was testing how it would handle watercolour, and I was pleasantly surprised. So just some simple leaf doodles. This illustration I absolutely love. It's one of my favourite pieces in this sketchbook. So there's a walk, or I'm about to say a hike. It's not really a hike, but it's a walk that I've always gone on through all of my life as a child with my family, and I still go on. And I still go on now. And that was this. I did an illustration of a fly agaric that I found in the woods. So I did a little bit of a vlog of that day as well, so you can see little snippets of me kind of drawing this, but it doesn't have a full dedicated video, which is a shame. I took so much time on this as well. I was painting the background section by section, so none of it got all mushy, and it really worked out. I love this piece so much. And then over here, this is a spread from the same walk. It's the same trip. So there's a chair here. I didn't paint in the seat, but you can just watch the water, and it's a wet and wet loose. I didn't paint on location. I painted from a photo when I got home. And then down here we have a wet and wet sparrow. So I love the sparrow. I love how it turned out. The only thing I don't like is the background. Sorry, the background details. Like I used an acrylic marker for the tree branches and cherries. The problem is they look so flat because I didn't add any other shading or details to it. So kind of looks, to me, in my opinion, it looks like the styles of flat and loose are kind of clashing, and I don't really like it, but I like the bird. Up here we have an acorn. So it was autumn and it was dropping, the trees were dropping acorns, so I thought I'd sketch one, sketch of a leaf. Pine cones, and there are a lot of pine cones falling down as well, so I did a little painting of a pine cone. So this down here, I've mentioned about 1,000 times on this channel. I'm not an artist who does a lot with colouring pencils. I sometimes use colouring pencils on top of a painting to give them details, and the ones that I use are the Faber-Castell Polychromos, and I do love them. Every so often I do practice about doing a piece with just pencils, but it's not often. But down here, this must have been her practice. Now, because this has the same colour scheme as the acorn, I think there's a chance I was going to do a full pencil illustration, and it looks like I may have chickened out. So this is also another spread from the same walk, so just a leaf, a chanterelle. Chanterelle, that was really interesting to draw. They look so interesting. If you look them up, they're so, I don't know, they're so weird, but they're interesting. I love them. And then we have a robin. So on the walk, it felt, I don't think it was the same robin, but the entire time there always appeared to be a robin in the tree wherever I was. So I thought it deserved a little painting. And there's a bit of gold sparkly in there. And I like the spider web with the white gel pen. That was really fun, a little detail to work on. And then we have just swatch names. So basically I have a little watercolour set that I set up myself with 15 of colours that I use a lot to put on my desk because it's small. I don't have it with me. It's small, it fits in my videos. It used to be a jelly bean tin. I ate the jelly beans and I repurposed it. And I had a swatch card in it, but unfortunately it got a little battered. It was starting to fall apart. So when I make a new one, a new swatch card, I put them in my sketchbook so I remember the colour names. But I am going to probably swap out the light red for a brighter red because I wanted a really vibrant poppy red, so I'll probably switch that out. And I might switch out one of the blues. I don't think I need that many blue. And I think, I'm sorry turquoise, you might be the one that gets eliminated because I use turquoise the least. So on this page we have a poppy spread going on, so I've got to practice ink and watercolour poppy. This is on my channel. It's kind of an abstract poppy painting. I don't like it that much. I don't hate it, but I used so much gold splatter on the page that it kind of, I don't know, it kind of makes the actual subject of the painting, the poppies, look hazy. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't like it that much. Over here we just have a beautiful poppy field. I like it. It's very cute. It's very simple. I thought it turned out nice. I was going to do a full painting of a poppy field, but I never got round to it. I should think about doing that at some point. And then up here, this is watercolour card. I want to say 200, probably. And this was quite recently. Well, for when I'm recording this, it's quite recently. And it's again watercolour and my fountain pen, and it's very loose and free, but I love the fact you can still see the shape of the poppy. And I did a considerably less amount of glitter, of sparkly paint, sorry. Oh, okay, so these are oil pastels. Oil pastels, sorry. I am not good with oil pastels. I've never been good with oil pastels. I've always hated them. I can just about do soft pastels. I like them a little bit better, but still they're not really in my main art supplies to use. So, now question, are Crayola crayons kind of like oil pastels? I don't know, because I always get, like, when people say nostalgia for like the Crayola crayons, I never had that. I hated those crayons as a kid. So when someone says, oh, the smell of crayons brings you back, no, I hated them. And the only ones I did have, the Crayola crayons, were the twistables, and I didn't like them because I could use them. I liked them because I thought the casing was pretty and it was fun, kind of like a fidget toy, just twisting them. So yeah. But I was walking around a store and they had oil pastels on a shelf for quite a cheap price, and I thought, well, okay, I'll give them a try. And this this is the result of me first using them. So I did this one first, and obviously you can still see that I'm still in a poppy mood, and I didn't know how they blended. I was struggling a lot, and these are my attempt at poppies. It looks like the grass has a disease of some kind, or a rash. It just doesn't look nice. And then I did try to scratch out some grass that didn't really work. And then over here I have another landscape. If you hear a lot, I don't know if you can hear it on the camera, but if you can, there's a grass cutter. It's coming about. It's on its way. There it is. Oh no, it's not. It's a road sweeper, not a grass cutter. So it's getting quieter. So over here was my second attempt of a landscape, and I went for purple instead, and it's a little better. It is a little better. I'll give myself credit a little bit, but again, there's a smudge bit up here. I don't know whether I was trying to do a technique, or whether I was angry. I don't know what this is, this smudge here. But I will say the trees, I don't know, on the trees here, I think that they're about the only thing I've managed to blend. But I stuck to it, and this is also oil pastel. Pastel. I keep wanting to say pastel, but pastel. I love this piece so much. So this is oil pastel, and it's shiny because I used Mod Podge to protect it because I was that proud of it. So I was so happy to go from this monstrosity to this. I really sat down. It was a small. I sectioned off a small area. I sat down and I really tried, and I did. Hello, have you come to visit me? Okay. Are you trying to get under the table? Oh, you are under the table. Okay. My dog companion has come to join me. Sorry. So what I did was I did put a colour down and then I smudged it, put another colour on top and then smudged it down, and then that's how I got the reflection, and I was really happy with how that turned out, and I still love it. So yeah, I thought it was really nice. Up here was a frog peeking out from some water. At the time, it kind of looked like a crocodile to me. I don't see it now, but at the time I thought it looked like a crocodile, so I really outlined the with a dark pencil to try and get the shape. I don't think it looks like a crocodile now. Just a very undetailed frog, I would say. Over here is a Crayola Super Tip landscape that I just stuck in that I thought was really cute. I think I'd planned to do it for a video, but for whatever reason it never happened. So here is where the winter watercolour paintings, that's a mouthful, winter watercolour paintings started. So here was my first practice, just a little idea that I did, and then up here these are supposed to be obviously Christmas string lights. I was supposed to paint them to colour them in, but I forgot. So, and I quite like how they are just as a sketch. And then this is on my YouTube channel. It was one of the winter Christmas things where I just painted some baubles, and obviously you can tell I used a lot of blue. I can't remember, I'll have to go watch it, but I think I used the same blue but in different quantities, different, is that the right word? Different oh sorry, different values of, you know, blue. Added more water, but then again I can't quite remember. I hope that's what I did, otherwise I'm forgetting. Okay, so on this page, the spread, we have 2 monochrome paintings. I don't really like these. I don't hate them. I'm pretty sure they were a family favourite. I'm pretty sure one of my members of my family really liked them. But I just don't like that they don't have a main focus point. They're very mushy. Everything blends in together. Like, you can obviously see that these are trees, but I don't know. There's just no interest to them. And I don't mean from only using dark colours, because I love monochrome paintings. It's just this was not it for me. And then this one is just plain. It's very plain. Again, there's nothing really interesting on it. Now this says the 11th of the 12th. I'm pretty sure that later on, this is probably when I'm going to start getting confused, but I'll carry on. So this says the 12th. So I love this painting. I don't know, I think it's so pretty. I wish I had done a bigger one of it, but I think I was having a practice for the dynamic, interesting skies, I would say. I think I was probably practicing here, because it kind of looks like an aurora, but it wasn't intentional. I was just playing about with different interesting colours in the sky and seeing what I could get, and I loved how it turned out. And I think I was also practicing how to paint the houses. And then down here is a I used the same palette, same colour palette, because I had watercolours left and I didn't want to waste them, so I did another little landscape. Okay, so these I know were blank. I painted these, or maybe not. I might have painted these. When were these? No, they were also December. I know for a fact that these were left blank and I came back to them. I know that. I do remember that. So anyway, so we have a nebula over here. I think actually this nebula was painted first. From what I remember, I did a really mini one. I loved how it turned out, so I did a full spread, and I just love how the colours turned out. Up here we have Jupiter. Now this is gouache. The one thing I want to probably do for this year, I say this year, it's for the rest of this year maybe, in my art, I want to focus on gouache a lot more and get a lot better at it. I'm not great at it. Even though it's thick watercolour, it is still a bit of a mystery to me. And then in white gel pen, we just have Jupiter's moons. We have some more nebulas and galaxies. I had a bit of a fixation, I guess. So this one I absolutely adore. I love the glow in the nebula itself. It's so pretty. But this one is my favourite. I don't know, I love the dark, deep purple. Sorry to the pink one. I don't hate this one, but I don't know, I love the glow effects. And I was supposed to do a video where I show how I painted these and I haven't got around to it. So it's on my list though, it's on the back burner. And then we're back to winter, I assume, there's no date. So here we have a blue tit painting. I love the details on the wings, but I messed up the face. As you can see, it's smudgy. So what I did was I got a paper towel, a tissue, dabbed the face to repaint it, and I messed it up again. So I left it and I just never came back to it. So that's why this poor blue tit will forever have a smushy face. Oh, the poor thing. Over here, this is another YouTube video that I did. It was kind of a step-by-step on how to simplify pine cones. So I love this painting, but I also liked how the video came out, because I want to do more tutorials, kind of a step-by-step, but I'm always so worried about making them easy or so they're able to be understood. I'm not so good at that, I don't think. Problem is, when my process is I just paint and I don't really know how to describe what I'm doing. So here we have a stag in a forest. So this was a painting idea and this was just a sketch for it. I wanted to paint a stag in the woods and do like a full painting. I haven't got round to it yet. To this day I still haven't painted one, but this was the little practice sketch. One day it'll actually be a painting. Over on this side we have another video on my channel, I believe, of a loose robin, and it was very loose. It turned out really interesting. It wasn't supposed to be this loose, but I do like how it looks. I painted a lot of robins the last year and a half. I've painted quite a few. Okay, so this was a page that I came back to again. So on my, again, a lot of paintings in this book are on my channel. So it was obviously, you could tell it was New Year's and I was doing some firework practice because I'd never painted fireworks before. I think once when I first started getting into art, started taking watercolour seriously, like I followed a tutorial, and since then I've never done it again. So I wanted to do a New Year's painting, but I needed practice. So up here, these two are me practicing about how I want the background to look, and I wanted the background to glow. So obviously this one didn't do well, but this one has a nice glow to it, so I stuck to that one. So we'll start on this page. So this one is watercolour in the background and this is masking fluid, and then I just rubbed them off and left them white from the paper. This one down here is watercolour and then acrylic marker on top. Now the reason it doesn't look that good is because I had only recently just gotten into using acrylic markers, so I was new to them. Over here we have watercolour background. Masking fluid again, the only difference is I use colouring pencils to colour in the white space to see how that would look. I didn't like it. And then up here we have watercolour and watercolour. Now I assumed that obviously watercolour on top of watercolour probably wouldn't be opaque enough, and it wasn't, but I still wanted to try it out. Over here we have some autumn themed paintings. So this is just watercolour and ink. It's very abstract, it's very mushy and all over the place. It doesn't really have a defined point, I guess, but you can see it's a landscape. So you've still got white pen for the trees, and these are bushes. I quite like it. I think I class these as sort of watercolour doodles, where they're not too much hassle or time consuming. I just get my pen out, get my watercolours, and I just make something. Over here, this painting went through some journeys. So underneath I made a watercolour painting that was supposed to be an autumn landscape with a lot of yellows and golds and browns. I didn't like it, so I added a tree with, I don't know if this is watercolour, I think this actually might be acrylic marker, but I can't tell because it doesn't look, no, that is watercolour. And then so I added a tree on top to cover the bits I didn't like, and then I didn't like the tree, so to kind of disguise it I thought I'd put a leaf on top of it to make it look a bit more sketchy. Didn't like the leaf. I didn't like anything about this page, and I'm not really sure I like it now. Here we have watercolour practice. I think I was getting ready to do my winter videos. I could be wrong, that's why I'm confused, but it does have some pretty iridescent sparkly paint watercolours on top of it. Okay, so this was when I was really into, you'll see it a lot later on, where I was on to making interesting skies, and probably at the point where I started doing a lot more paintings and sketches. So what I'd do is I'd put yellow down here, and yellow watercolour, and then a pink watercolour, then a darker pink, and then a blue and then yellow, and I'd grab my brush with water and just pull it up and see what interesting skies I could make. And it was so much fun, and most of the skies and my watercolour landscape paintings, that was a mouthful, are done that way. This over here is obviously very wet and wet. I did a lot of water to this painting, which is why I could say it handles more than light washes, this sketchbook. But you can kind of see this is kind of meant to be like a riverbank. This is supposed to be trees. This is supposed to be water with a reflection. But the interesting thing about this painting is I'd been using sparkly metallic watercolours beforehand, but it wasn't a dark colour. So when I washed my brush off, the water still looked clear, and I didn't change the water in my water glass that I used to wash my brushes off. So when I came to use the water, it had glitter all over it. So not now, unfortunately, but this in the right light sparkles the whole entire painting. It's so pretty. Okay, these are probably my favourite paintings in the entire sketchbook. I adore these so much. Even though there's such, sorry, quotations, bleak colours, I enjoy them so much. They were so much fun to paint. I think they look great. This one is my favourite. I love the sky, and I love how wispy the trees are, and I think this is probably when I started to use the dry brush technique a lot in this sketchbook, I think later on. And then this one, I don't know, I can't even just tell you why I like it so much. I just do. Now, not insulting this one, I do still love this one. It's just that's my favourite. 15th of the 1st, so we are in January. So in January I was still doing my winter watercolour paintings. They just weren't Christmas themed, because where I am it's still winter in January and February. It's actually more likely to snow in February than it is in December where I live. December you normally either get frost or rain, funnily enough. So this is another one of those doodles that I do. So it's grabbing a my watercolours, grabbing my pen and just doing a landscape doodle. I don't really like it. I do like the purple, but I don't know, just something about it that just doesn't inspire me, I guess. And over here now, this painting is difficult for me because it's on my channel and I loved this painting. I loved this painting at the time. I thought it was so pretty, but looking back on it now, I don't like it as much. I don't hate it, but I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. Again, another quick watercolour doodle, not too much to say. I do love the orange hues in it. Oh, I don't like this painting. I didn't like it at the time. I still don't like it now. It was supposed to be, the tree was supposed to be the big focal point. It was supposed to be really interesting, and I messed up the watercolours a lot, so not a favourite. And here, this is a practice painting for a painting I did on my channel. So this is a quick little practice. Now, and this paper here is really thick. It's really thick. So I've glued something behind there, and because there's a black seepage going on, and you can see it on here a little bit, I think whatever was in here must have been black paint or black ink, and obviously I didn't like it and I sealed it up. That's one thing. If you have a sketchbook like this that you don't want to rip paper out because it's a bound sketchbook, if you really dislike it, glue 2 pages together. It's the way I do it. If I really can't stand, for whatever reason, a painting being in the book or seeing it, seal it up. It works. And then we have, I wish I'd sealed these 2 up. I don't even know what to say. These were supposed to be prettier. They were supposed to be a splash of colour, some really interesting trees, and when it came around to doing it, I just couldn't be bothered to make them look good, and this is what I was left with. And this is also thick, so there's something behind here too. So again, not happy with these. Again, watercolour doodles. May have been practicing for something. Okay. And now we're back to loving paintings. This is on my channel. I hope it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I love this painting so much. It was so much fun to work on. There's a lot of just gorgeous blues, and this was a painting where I did a lot of wet and wet again, so the sketchbook can definitely handle more than light washes. So I love this painting. I especially love the little details I managed to get with my gel pen, my white gel pen. So I love that piece. This is a piece I did, I want to say quite recently, maybe a month ago. I had some spare card, so I just painted this, and I was supposed to stick it in here. It's supposed to be like that, but I forgot. So over here, I think this was a video that I did on making different card designs to put on a Christmas card, and these pages were blank, so I thought I'd stick them in, and they're just winter berries. I can't remember what the difference was. I can't remember what I think these might have been watercolour and these might have been acrylic markers. That's why they aren't as bright as this. I could be wrong. I'll have to go back and watch my own video. And now we're in February. Sorry, I had to I had to remember what month was the second month. It's February. January, February. Wow. So over here we have another watercolour doodle where I was messing about with the sky. And then this is a short on my channel. I wish I'd done a full video, but it's a short. I love this one. I loved messing about with the greens and the browns. I loved messing about with the greens and the browns. It was so much fun. And again, there's a lot of, you'll see, there's a lot of dry brush starting to emerge in my paintings. So I hated this painting at the time. I was so close to gluing it together like we saw earlier. I was going to do a video on it, and everything that was, I don't know what it was that made me dislike it so much. I don't know whether in the time I just wasn't enjoying painting it, but you can see here where this bit's smudged. I'm pretty sure I just dragged my brush across the sky because I just didn't care about how it looked anymore. But I still continued on though. I still added more details. I think I just stopped recording because I hated it. But the funny thing is now I don't hate it. I don't necessarily love it and think it's beautiful, but I don't think it deserved the hatred that I gave it at the time. But I suppose I couldn't have hated it that bad because it's not sealed up. Another watercolour doodle, having fun with some colours and some sky. Over here was a watercolour painting that was supposed to be really, I was going to do a painting where it was really, the tree was really the main point. It was going to have loads of details on it and covered in snow, and I just couldn't be bothered. So I left it the way it was, which is fine. There's nothing against leaving an idea or a painting or a sketch halfway through if you just don't feel like it anymore. This page, you can kind of see a sketch underneath. I know for a fact I came back to this one. This was blank, and I came back a couple of months later and did a watercolour ink doodle. Again, you can see I got bored. I couldn't be bothered. I left it. I'd never finished it. Over here, I want to say it's on my channel. I really want to, but I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it is on my channel. I'll have to check now. But I love this painting. I don't love this bit as much. I don't hate it. It's not that. It's just I love the golden hues in the sky. It was my favourite part to work on. Again, messing about with some more watercolour doodles and dry brush, you can see, but I just wanted a brown palette, brown watercolours, brown colour scheme, there we go. Okay, so we are now on to the point where I did sketches. So when I wanted to do a watercolour winter painting video, that's a long sentence, I would do sketches beforehand. So my idea was to sketch and keep sketching on every single page so that when it came to do a watercolour video, I would turn a page and just find a sketch. The problem was it didn't work out that well. For whatever reason, I just had I don't want to call it art block. I've got my art enthusiasm back now, but I went through a phase where I just didn't paint as much. I don't know. So these are some poor unfortunate sketches that were just left plain. And there's nothing wrong with keeping sketches as sketches. It's just, I think some of these sketches, how many times did I say that word? I think some of these drawings would have been nice as paintings. So there's another sketch. And over here I did do one. As you can see, I didn't really put a lot of effort into it, at least it looks like I didn't. So I think my art interest or my drive to paint was starting to go down here. Again, sketches that were left blank. So this is just, I assume this is meant to be a river, and I assume this was supposed to be a snowy bank. Oh, a very dry brush inspired watercolour painting. I love that technique. It was so much fun to do, especially with snowy paintings. It was so helpful. And then again, messing about with an interesting sky, I wanted to do some purples. As you can see here, this pen is bloomed a bit. I wasn't patient enough to wait for it to dry, and there's a bit of a smudge as well. Complete blank page. Ooh. So this is another one of my landscape doodles. Very golden. There's even got some gold sparkles on there as well. These were left blank, and I came back to them, and I was going to do a doodle of a tree, as you can see, and then do some colour play, maybe some sparkle play, just make it abstract. You can see a bit of a sketch here, but I didn't. Again, obviously my will to paint was going downhill and I just couldn't be bothered to come back to it. Now this sketch I think is really pretty. I love this. This would have made a lovely painting, but again I just didn't come back to it. Okay, this was fairly recently. So this was one of the drawings that I did for a winter painting, so I could turn to a page and just find a sketch. I loved how this one turned out, so I came back to it recently. So you'll see it was meant to be a winter painting, but when I was painting it, it was in spring. So there's a bit of spring yellow coming in there. There's still a bit of cold blue, I guess. And I don't know, it's half winter, half spring, so I've still done some snow. So on this page, this isn't watercolour paper, this is just ordinary paper and that I found lying around. I did a very weak watercolour wash design on it, did a stamp, and I cut it in to put it in here, but it kind of looks like a bookmark, so I did acrylic string, and underneath we have some books. So I did black fine liner to outline the books, and I didn't like how it looked. Unfortunately, I liked it without the line art, but stay down. So again, some sketches that I'm sad that I left blank. These would have made nice paintings. Second of February, hang on a minute, that's where I'm, 2nd of February, yeah. See how much gap that I did. Yeah, that's the 2nd of February, that's the 2nd of February, 2026. Yeah, that's such, I don't know what happened. Did I really just paint these two and then paint these and leave all of these blank and then come back to them? But I don't think I did, because these are my sketches. So these are all the sketches I came to do in between, with a plan of doing tons of videos that I never did. Wow. So we have snowdrops. These both are on my channel. So this was ink and watercolour with my fountain pen that I do, and then this is just watercolour. So I use masking fluid to mask the snowdrops and then painted around them and then rubbed them off at the end so they'd stand out. Okay, so here is where we get a bit more recent. It's a fairly newly finished sketchbook. So I'll start off with this page. This was watercolour and acrylic markers, and I hadn't painted for a while. So I was getting back into it, and I love how this turned out, and I had to add some bees. Very spring. So over here, this painting was mixed media to a T. So if you look carefully, you can see a line. So it was going to be a border like this one, but I messed up the painting underneath. So I put, they're called paint sticks. I don't know what they're called. I think I've seen some videos where, are they called Gelatos? I could be wrong. Gelato is an ice cream, isn't it? They're tempera sticks, maybe. They look the same, but they're called paint sticks. I got them from a supermarket, from the kids section, but they work really nice. So I did a background with them, with the paint sticks, and then I did a painting on top with gouache that I didn't like, and then I ended up with this. So we've got gouache, we've got the paint sticks, we've got acrylic marker, we've got, I think, maybe some colouring pencil in there, I don't know, and then this bit here is actually watercolour. It's not gouache. The dark bits of grass was watercolour on top of the paint sticks, and for some reason it makes it darker and more opaque. Yeah. Blank page. Oh, if you see, there's a little indent here. That was thanks to my dog. Well, I sat down obviously doing some sketching, and he decided to very nicely stand on my sketchbooks. So that's cute. That's a sweet little dog mark. So this is from a vlog. It's on my channel. You can go watch it if you want. So this was basically what I was drawing. This is a spread of what I was drawing in that vlog. So I had an orange tip butterfly, which I chased all over the riverbank. Not the same butterfly, but I was trying to get one orange tip to land so I could take a photograph. I chased it all over that riverbank. And it got to a point where I gave up. I was like, oh, never mind. I'll just look up a photo on the internet and draw from that reference. But there's something more fun about taking your own photos. So it was at the end of the walk that I finally got it to land so I could take a photo of it. So that's the photo drawing in question. Forget-me-nots. So for about, I don't know, 2 to 3 years, I've been trying to grow forget-me-nots. So was my mum. She tried to grow forget-me-nots. She never managed it. I never managed it from the packet seeds that you can get. Never managed to grow any. I have a bird feeding table that's in a kind of like a bucket of sand and soil, just to make it higher off the ground and make it a bit more portable. And one morning I just went out there to find that wild forget-me-nots had grown there by themselves. I didn't plant them. I couldn't believe it. I've been trying to grow forget-me-nots for years, and there they were. So I ended up drawing them. Down here we have a blue tipped. So this is an acrylic marker. So I had been using acrylic markers on top of stuff. I'd been using them for details like highlights in the grass, flowers in the grass, all that kind of stuff. And this was the first time that I had done a whole illustration with just acrylic markers, nothing else. And I loved how it turned out. It was so much fun. So that's that. It was on a different paper, but I've cut it up and stuck it in, and then did an ink background with my, I call them, they're ink wash, aren't they? I use a water brush, fill it up with ink, and use that as an ink brush rather than buying an ink brush. And then my white highlighter pen, white gel pen. I tried to do some flowers, but it didn't stick. And then up here we just have my outside table that I recently got. And then that day that I was drawing outside, I had my washing out, so I thought I'd add them. Another blank page, nothing on it. Okay, so the next 2 pages were actually painted before this page. I came back to this as a blank page. So my watercolours were running out. My favourite colours, I didn't have a lot. I was digging the tiny dregs from my palette, and I haven't actually bought new pans yet, so I'm still dragging out tiny bits of colours from the palette, from the pans. So this is ink and watercolour, so just a nice little landscape. My companion is now moved after having a bit of a snore, so that's that. And then this 12th of the 5th, so this was recently. I absolutely love this one. I enjoyed this so much. This is obviously, this again, like I said, this was before this one, so I still had colours. I love how this turned out, so loose and free. It was just a fountain pen and watercolour landscape, and I enjoyed this so much. I remember, I think I was just sat and the TV was on, and I was just having a fun time. Oh, I love this one too. So I love the sky and the river and the water, the reflection. I love how that turned out. This bit down here, we can just sort of cover up. This was impatient, really. So this has got a cauliflower bloom coming off it because I didn't let it dry. These are supposed to be flowers, and I did the splatter technique with my paintbrush, and it wasn't dry enough to take more paint, so that's why they bloom. But I didn't care because I was so happy with how the sky looked. Blank page. Oh, okay. So after 8 years of doing watercolour, I finally purchased professional watercolours. I finally got myself a set of 6, and they were quite a good price, I would say, compared to getting the bigger tubes or like a full set. I just wanted to basically dip my toes into professional watercolours. I haven't done a lot with them yet. I put them in a pan for them to dry out, and I've actually bought I say professional. I've bought a watercolour journal from My Stationery again with a 300 GSM, and the book is going to be just so I can practice with professional watercolours. But these are the swatches. But when I first got them, I haven't used them for big paintings. I definitely wanted to try them out, so I used stamps to help me remember that they were the pro watercolours. So we have a poppy painting. This was me testing out how they worked with my ink and watercolour technique, which is very pretty. Just some leaf sketches that I did. Okay, this was thanks to my nan. I was outside and I was texting her, letting her know that I'd bought these professional watercolours, but I was so intimidated I didn't know what to paint, and I wanted to do my first big painting, which I didn't end up doing. But she said, oh, do what you're doing, paint what you're doing, paint a lady outside enjoying an iced tea at the garden. But I was so intimidated because I wasn't not that too good at painting people, so I can do figure people, but the subject was new to me, so I ended up just painting her request or my nan's idea on a page. So this is the pro watercolours, this is just my watercolours. I think I was going to do a comparison, but I was so looking forward to getting this sketchbook done so I could start a new one, so not a lot of hard work went into these. Okay, that was the 12th of the 5th, so blank pages in between that I came back to again. Sorry, no, yeah, these ones been painted afterwards. I wish I'd dated them. This is just another ink and my fountain pen and watercolours, and yeah, I don't like it as much as the other two. It's a bit wishy-washy, I guess. Okay, please. Oh no, I tell a lie, this isn't the last one. Again, another painting, thank you to my nan. So she was telling me that she hasn't seen greenfinch in her garden for such a long time, and she finally saw one again. So she was telling me about it, and I was inspired. This isn't a greenfinch. I was inspired to paint a greenfinch. And she said, oh, well, what about a chaffinch as well? So this is a chaffinch, so I did ink and watercolour. I love how this turned out. I was so happy with it because I believe I only had to sketch it once. For some reason, I just got the shape right that I was happy with first time. So, and this was where the greenfinch was supposed to be as a bit of a sketch. I could not get the pose right on this greenfinch. I gave up, and that's just I think, washing off my brush or something. So these are doodles where it's just, I'm almost at the end of my sketchbook, let's just fill the last 2 pages with whatever. So flower doodles of watercolour, more ink pen leaves, but I put so much watercolour on it, it diluted the ink so much that you can't really see the leaves. And there we go, and then the last page, just, yeah, there's nothing in here. So yeah, so that is my finished sketchbook tour. And then this is going to be my new sketchbook again. this is also my stationery. I thought that the sticker matched it so well. So this is going to be my current sketchbook, and I have that creative 25th of the 5th, I have that creative drive back. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I know for a fact this is probably a long tour. because this is 120 pages. This is 120 pages, and not all of the pages were filled up in this sketchbook, but yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know which was your favourite painting. Leave me a comment and a like and subscribe. I don't think I've ever said that before.